the big reveal as the owner of the yacht. Um, I guess, do you want to talk about a little bit your background as far as in the crypto world and how you started in the NFT space?
Yeah, sure. Um, Hi everyone. I'm Jad Comer. I'm the president of Millennium Capital, which is an asset management company specialized in crypto. And we have launched the first Bitcoin ETF in Europe. And I'm also the yacht owner of Lady Amanda and the person behind John Blackeye, or set up the team behind John Blackeye with the idea to present to you the project of today. And yeah, to give you a little bit of background, so basically I'm a traditional finance guy that turned the gen, in a sense that I discovered Bitcoin 10 years ago, and I hopped on the Bitcoin wagon. It's thanks to Bitcoin that I was able to buy my yacht, basically. And when the whole NFT craze started, I thought about how can I take this to the next level. And I saw that the Bored Ape Yacht Club community had a nice brand, a nice story behind them, but they were missing a key element, which was a yacht. So since I had one, I said, why not build up a character that would give access to this community to real yachting experiences.
Awesome. So what were you in the NFT space at all before, or did you just see it with the resurgence of crypto, I guess?
Basically, throughout my crypto experience, I have stuck with Bitcoin for a very long time, and the NFT is my only crypto step after Bitcoin. I went through the whole ICO hype. I didn't find any project convincing enough back then. I think the Ethereum bet could have been a good bet, but there has been so many projects that ended up being complete scams or didn't deliver what they were supposed to deliver. So I had stayed on the side until I saw what the NFT space was doing, and I found it I found it very, very interesting in terms of revolutionizing the business model of dealing together, basically from a top-down approach to a bottom-up approach, and yeah, that's how I got hooked. The whole community side, the building, the the fact that they have issued these NFTs, and then attraction started as an art, and then this art became more art, and then it became a coin and the whole community, and then now we're seeing a much bigger metaverse in which this community is going to exchange, play, collaborate, etc. And this business model is quite unique, and I find it very, very exciting compared to all other crypto projects that I have seen so far. So the NFT is definitely, like, I did a jump from Bitcoin to NFTs, which is like usually you go from Bitcoin to other coins, and then to NFTs is like the end. I jumped straight from one to the most recent, I would say.
For sure. So 2023, do you think Ethereum or Bitcoin will have a bigger market cap?
Problem with the development of the market is there are so many opportunities on the Ethereum blockchain and so much hype about the merge and how it's going on, but there are also a lot of risk. So, and I'm quite worried about this risk, not in terms of technological risk, but more in terms of sanctions and politicization of the Ethereum network. Already we have seen that the Tornado Cash sanction has twisted the whole staking perspective, so that all the big players or the big holders of Ethereum that were supposed to be the stakers are not or will not be involved anymore because it's too much risk, or they need to blacklist some addresses that are using Tornado Cash, and Tornado Cash is just one. There are many more that will or could come. So there's a lot of uncertainty there that could make it a hit or make it just fall apart, basically, and seeing something else rising. So I would say Bitcoin is a very safe and boring bet on this front, but Ethereum, if they're able to have a correct merge, they definitely have a lot of potential from here.
Awesome. And what attracted you, would you say, the most, the Bored Ape community?
Three things basically attracted me the most. First of all, that that by combining NFT and technology, you have accesses in a way that are much stronger and much more much newer than you had before. So the fact that you have access to digital spaces, servers, discords, events, etc., using physical and digital aspects is very unique. So you have in the traditional or real life business model clubs where you can have access, like the Soho Club, but nothing beats this kind of digitalization, total digitalization of the access, and at the same time having it liquid, so much liquid in the sense that you can sell your ape overnight, rebuy it the next day, etc. So it's a kind of big technological advancement. The second part is the whole business model that was created from nothing and that became for like the last chat they were saying that they are now worth $4 billion. So it's just amazing how you can just thanks to a community build up a business model. And the third part is more about this whole ideology behind it. I come from traditional finance, and I have seen like the evolution of our world from the hedge fund management part, because this is where I operated, where you used to be able, two guys in their garage, like a fintech company who have cracked the market, be able to build an empire. And now with all these regulatory hurdles, the process has been completely archived and completely sent to a very, very boring and very uncreative space. So you have seen like digitalization and revolutions across all the industries, and tech is going everywhere, from cars to planes to hotels to whatever industry you look at. There's an evolution going on, except in the traditional financial space. So for me, it was such an interesting experience to see that there is so much innovation and so much ideas going on in the NFT space. And it's more like a conviction as an ideology about like we need to build this whole world from scratch. Again, the old world we have built doesn't work as it's supposed to work. And you see it everywhere. You see it in data protection. You see it in every single aspect of our current world.
Yeah, what initially attracted you to cryptocurrency? I know you're one of the first people to really give it some traditional finance and put like some real backing into it. I'm sure you had a lot of pushback from your peers.
Actually, I had like one competitive advantage, I would say, compared to all of my peers, which, and especially my generation, which is much more traditional and much more resistant to this technology. And it's the fact that I am originally Lebanese, and I was born in Lebanon and I grew up there, and then I moved to France to work. But I've been like traveling back and forth between France and Lebanon for the past 20 years, I would say. And so when I first heard about Bitcoin, it was for me an opportunity to have like one currency shared all over the world. And instead of every time I had to go between one country to the other to have to pay a huge amount of forex fees just to change from euros to dollars every time I was traveling. So my initial idea, I would say, or my initial attraction was it's so convenient to have one common currency shared all around the world. And so this is how my interest started. But then I slowly started to learn more about Bitcoin, and what Bitcoin basically taught me is more about my field of finance than about blockchain and crypto, etc. Because when you start to dig in, like about the topic of what is money and the history of money and the whole aspects of our monetary system and how the whole financial system is completely rigged. Like the whole game I was playing already, and my whole mentality completely switched, where I could take a step back and understand how my work and my convictions about where the market was going, where countries' deficits were going, how this whole work I was able to see it more clearly thanks to all the studies I have done learning on Bitcoin. And one of the main books that struck me was Saifedean Ammous, The Bitcoin Standard, which, funny enough, Saifedean was teaching at the Lebanese American University when he wrote it, and he was telling, and I was telling, like when you first read his book, you understand like how our whole economic and monetary system works. and you see it from a perspective of a from a new perspective, basically, where you have an alternative to the traditional money you were used to have in the past. And once you have this alternative, you are able to take a better view about what you were doing historically with your money. And then you realize that this whole game is doomed to fail. So this got me much more convinced. Saifuddin and I were trying to tell people in Lebanon back then that watch out, there's a very high risk of default, etc. But I mean, from my part, it was very hard for me to convince people to switch from the traditional banking system to Bitcoin. And unfortunately, you know what happened in Lebanon? There was a huge financial crisis, and people lost all their savings basically overnight, almost 3 years ago now. So it was very sad. So I was able to see firsthand all the problems and solutions that Bitcoin was trying to avoid and to solve, because I have lived it directly at hand. So I had the kind of advantage to adopt Bitcoin quicker than anyone else, I would say, and that keeps me always with an open eye about every other project that I encounter, which is in the crypto space, and that also makes me also aware of all the shitty projects that I encounter, because there are so many scams and shitty projects in this space. The past months have proven that my cautious about all these projects was justified and was reasonable. And basically, the more I spend time on all these projects, the more I get convinced about NFTs and about Bitcoin for the time being.
Awesome. I guess going to the yacht, you know, a lot of the NFTs, the biggest narrative right now is everyone has utility. Everyone makes these fake utilities up or just tries to make some weird utility that it's not actual utility. Is that what made you jump into the space now, as far as with the yacht?
As far as the yacht, basically, the idea that I thought of is on several layers. First of all, like I said, I think that the Bored Apes should have a yacht, basically, and you cannot have a Bored Ape Yacht Club without a yacht. So there was like a kind of missing element here. I know there's a lot of things going on in the metaverse, but it was an opportunity basically to have something also physical in the real world. So all the NFT projects and the other NFT projects that I have seen try to offer kind of utilities, but all of them at the end are fake utilities, because people try to hype up this utility factor and these IPs and royalties and staking and yielding, etc. But at the end, deep down, it's based on nothing. And when there's a bear market, all these fake utilities disappear. So I wanted to come up with something that has a real utility. So you have value for your money, and this is like the floor price of your NFT, like the utility in real life of yachting, basically. And that's the first element. The second element is that as a yacht owner, I have developed this yacht in a way that is quite unique in the Mediterranean, in the sense that most yacht owners have basically this crew on board, and they have spent their holidays, and they have champagne and food, and they swim a little bit. But there are so many activities you can do on a boat, and it's really a shame to just sit on a yacht to swim and eat and drink, basically. So what I developed it is a very playful yacht. So we have the yacht that has the most toys in the Mediterranean. And it's the smallest yacht, for example, with a slide. We have sea bobs, we have flyboards, lift board, jet surf, scuba diving gear, wakeboard gear, wake surf, wake skate, whatever toy you can imagine, we have it. So you have these activities that you can do on board. And my idea is like to be able to have people enjoying these activities. It's not the rich and old lazy people that are going to do it, but it's more like young and dynamic people. So first of all, I built it for myself in the sense that I want to spend my time on board playing around and do a lot of activities, and I want people that come on board that are able to enjoy it to the full extent, the yachting experience, not just the food and the alcohol and a little bit of swimming. So and I think the crypto community is a very young and dynamic one, so it kind of matches so well with the spirit of this yacht. And third, I had an idea basically of taking this business model a step further. And this is also something that I have been I was thinking about for a while, and I found this project quite interesting in that sense, to do it with with an NFT collection. And the idea basically is that in the yachting industry, most yacht owners use their yacht some weeks of the year and rent the yacht the other weeks of the year, so they can amortize their costs. And my idea is to go to yacht owners and to organize a charity, basically, that basically yacht owners will give days on their yacht to the charity, and the community will go and buy these experiences on their yacht, and the proceeds will go to charity. And I think as a boat owner, when you give your boat to charity, it's a complete different story, and it's a much more virtuous and sustainable approach than just rented for a person who wants to go cruising. And for the person cruising also, it's much more interesting to be using a boat that you paid for, and you know the money is going for a charity, instead of just spending your time for leisure only. And the idea that this charity that we're gonna build on top of the whole ecosystem will develop more sustainable sea experiences. So we know that the yachting industry has a carbon footprint that is problematic. So we gotta spend energy and resources into solving these issues that almost no one is addressing today in the whole yachting space. So trying to make sustainability sea living a target for this charity to be able to us humans enjoy the sea in a sustainable and ecological way.
Awesome. What's your favorite toy on the yacht? Personally.
My favorite toy is the flyboard. If you haven't tried a flyboard, you should. It's very easy to learn, and it's a brilliant invention, which is was invented by a Frenchman, Frank Zapata, and basically it allows you to, powered by the jet ski, to be able to rise like Iron Man. It's like unbeatable in terms of experience because you really feel like Iron Man up there. And basically, it takes 10 to 15 minutes to be able to rise. And then, of course, you can start doing like tricks and flips and so many things. But yeah, that's definitely the number one hit on the yacht. And second, the Seabob, which is a kind of very simple toy, which is just an engine that is propelling you in the waters above or under the water. But it's so convenient because you can go and explore and effortlessly a lot of scenery and a lot of the coastline wherever you park the boat. You can then explore much more. I also have used it on occasions to swim with dolphins, and this is like unbelievable experience where you can, because dolphins swim a little bit faster than us. They cannot, they can go very slow, but they usually, when they get close to a boat, they tend to have a minimum speed. And with the Seabob is the exact speed on which they cruise when they get close to the boat. So every time we're cruising and I see dolphins, I take out the Seabob and I jump into the sea and swim with them. It's just amazing experience.
Awesome. I guess lastly, do you want to talk about a little bit about the events that we'll have on the yacht?
Yeah, basically, what we're gonna try to organize is a kind of yacht fest where the idea is to have this yacht as a crypto yacht, basically, where people can come and connect and organize, spend time and get to know each other, etc. There's a lot of things going in the US, so the fact that it's in the Mediterranean, it kinds of big a European chapter to the whole Bored Ape community, and at the same time, in a leisure way, I understand there's a lot of hype around the New York Ape Fest, but being on a yacht in New York is completely different of being on a yacht in Cannes or Monaco, for example, which is a milder, I would say, weather and more yachting type of experience. And then there are like traditional stuff you can do on board. So we have static events and dynamic events. So the dynamic events are the traditional cruises where you can spend time and go from port to port and swim and go out dinner and partying, etc. And you have the static events where we have like all types of events that are close to ports, like the Cannes Film Festival, the Formula One Grand Prix. There are several ones in Monaco, the San Remo Film Festival, the Val de Saint Tropez Festival. So you have like a lot of events uh, around ports, basically, where people will be able to come and attend these events while at the same time being on the yacht.
Great. Okay, if anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand. John's a busy man, so I'm sure he has to go. But everyone here, I'm gonna take a snapshot right now, and we're gonna send you a PO-op for your attendance, and we really appreciate it. If anybody has anything, raise your hand. But if not, it was awesome. Introduce you, Chad, and I'm just excited for the future.